Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to the Bold, Unstoppable panel of Fabulous Women Show. I'm your host, Dr. Rochel Marie Lawson, known as the Queen of Feeling Fabulous. And let me tell you today's topic is a big one. So, we are going to discuss the follow up on the results of the presidential election. And, honey, if you thought the campaigns were dramatic, wait till you hear what we got to share because we're going to get into it and we're going to dish the real tea. Do you hear me? I mean, the real tea. We ain't going to hold back nothing. And what this is really all about is we're looking at what it means for our communities, our business, us as a gender, and beyond. But don't worry, we got y'all covered. Our panel today is stacked with some powerhouse women from diverse walks of life, business owners, educators, coaches, just women in general. And so we got it and we got you. And we're ready to dish out some insights with a bit of sass and a little sprinkle of wisdom. So I'm going to say, take your time right now to go grab your favorite beverage. I am drinking a San Pellegrino pomegranate sparkling water. If coffee, tea, or whatever is your vibe, go ahead and get your cup right now because I want you to stay tuned and engaged of what we're going to discuss with this fabulous show. So now it's ready. It's time to dive in. I want our panelists to first introduce themselves, and I'm going to bring it to my girl, my Black Door Society sister, Dr. Roselyn, or AKA Dr. Aker-Black. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, Dr. Rochel Marie. Congratulations on your doctorate. I'm so excited for you. Welcome to the 1% Club, sis. I know it was a lot of hard work. Welcome. Thank you for having me on your show. As you said, we are Black Door Society sisters. I am one of the founders and the vice president of Black Door Society. I am a clinical psychologist by trade, relationship expert, and psychology professor. And I love all things relationship. I do coaching and I also do therapy. I do it all. I do master classes and I do group sessions. And so I love helping people who feel like they cannot function in a healthy relationship. And I love to give them tools to show them that they can, regardless of their past trauma, they can have a healthy relationship. So thank you, Dr. Rochel Marie, for having me on your show.
Welcome to the show, Dr. Roz. It's a pleasure to have you. Oh, we got a relationship expert, y'all. She might be analyzing us, but we don't care because we just gonna keep it real today. Now, Miss Angela Ross, please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rochel. We're so glad to be here. And again, congratulations on your doctorate. That is a phenomenal accomplishment. I am Angela Ross. I am the creator and host of the award-winning SoCal Voices podcast, where we have candid conversations about living and thriving in Southern California. Folks who listen to my show hear interviews that inspire them to take positive steps to enhance their lives and communities and help them discover the people and places that make Southern California special. I am a communications professional by trade, former anchor, former reporter, former PR person for government and healthcare organizations. And so I bring all of that plus my Black girl magic to my podcast. So that's me.
I love it. So I got a fellow Golden State girl with me on the show today. We representing the West Coast and the East Coast. I'm from the Bay, as we know in Cali, San Francisco Bay Area. Okay, so enough about me and let's just dive.
I'm originally from Georgia, so in the South.
Oh, so we represent the South. Right. You know what? I love it because Dr. Roz is really Southern because in the South how they call everybody baby or sugar. And Dr. Roz her word is sugar. Sugar, girl, I got you. Sugar, what you doing? Sugar, how you been?
I love it.
We got that great flavor with Dr. Roz. I love it too. Okay, ladies. Okay, this is gonna be deep. This time gonna go fast. So we got my first question for you all is, ladies, let's start with the $1 million question. What do you think of the outcome of this election? And how do you think the outcome of this election will shake up the business world, especially for us small business owners and entrepreneurs. Are we looking at opportunities or obstacles? Who wants to take that question first? I know it's a lot in that question. One, what do you think about the election? Two, what do you think it means for us, particularly since we are all of the same color? What do you think for us?
Go ahead, Angela.
I'll start if you don't mind. I'll start. I am, what I think of the election is I'm profoundly unsurprised. Profoundly unsurprised. It is just surprising to some people that someone as qualified and as magnificent as I believe objectively, a lot of people can look at Vice President Harris and see how she is, that the results would end up being what they were. Especially since we know with all of the criminality and the hypocrisy and the misogyny and the racism and the chaos that the other candidate brings to the table, that would be the winning formula in 2024. But it isn't, it's what a lot of us experience, if we're going to be really frank about what we deal with day to day, where you have all of the requirements, you exceed the requirements, and it still isn't enough because there's not enough money in the world, apparently, to override social hierarchy, patriarchy, racism, and misogyny. So that is what I'm hearing from the women and men that I talk to on a regular basis. And that is the feeling. Now, the positive thing that I feel right now is that I'm hearing news reports today that the margin of Ms. Harris's loss is shrinking. Her opponent did not win the popular vote by as many votes as was originally reported. It won't be 50% plus something. It'll be under that. And so the difference is only about maybe 1.6 to 1.7% between them. It's not going to change the outcome of the election, but I felt a little bit better knowing it was in fact closer than we originally were told, because that also left a really strong feeling among some of us about, oh, wow, really? We thought we had allies. We thought we had buddies and friends who maybe are not feeling the way that we projected onto them that they were feeling. Maybe they're feeling a different kind of way. So that's all mixed up in there. Now, to answer the second part of your question, what does this mean for us? Is it obstacle? Is it opportunity? I think it's both, but we should seize the opportunity. I think this is a powerful, powerful lesson and wake-up call, smack across the face, whatever you want to call it. But I was reading a really interesting piece the other day where the columnist talked about us being on our own, Black women going out there, bearing the brunt and being the forefront of movements and carrying on. And apparently some folks have been along for the ride, but they haven't really been with us. And so we need to
really good points. Really good points. I want to get Dr. Ross to work together. Yeah. Dr. Ross, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, so first of all, I was a bit heartbroken when she didn't win, and it took me a minute to digest. I went on to my homecoming down at the Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee. I had to be with my people, and I felt better. And just in having conversations, obviously she's my sorority sister. So in having conversations about her, I got this piece that God is protecting her from something. We don't know what it is, right? But God is protecting her from it. And so having that little piece made me feel a bit better about the situation. I'm still very stunned, but like you, Angela, I'm not surprised. Sexism is real. She was the most qualified, but because she's a woman, people didn't want to vote for her. I'm more upset with the 15 million people that stayed home, that voted for Biden the last time, but didn't come out and vote this time. And I think that was the Democrats' fault because they didn't think about it wasn't Trump versus Kamala. was Kamala versus people staying at home that made the difference. And Angela, like you said, I heard that it was a much smaller margin, and I was very excited about that. And Angela, I agree with you. I do think that this is a teachable moment for all of us. And this gives us an opportunity for us to be creative and to explore new strategies and to do things very differently that we've done before. And as you mentioned, Angela, I have seen so many like memes saying, Black sister rest. We did our part. And I literally feel that way. I feel like we did what we needed to do. We show up for everybody. We're tired. We're tired. And so at this point, we are going to take a break and let everybody who we thought were allies, let them fend for themselves. Like, don't invite us to anything because we're not coming. We did what we did. You know, I mean, seriously, we did what we could, and we always. Black women have always showed up. Black women have always done their part. We are tired, and so America is going to get what America voted for. And I thought it was so interesting that just 24 hours later, Google was trending with people asking could they change their vote from Donald Trump.
Right.
Interesting.
And I'm like, that's ridiculous. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. People were so racist and so sexist that they were just like, we can't have a Black woman leading this country. And then when they realized that he won and that his craziness, that Project 2025 is going to be affecting their lives now. Yeah. Now they want to change the vote.
Right.
Now they want to change the vote. It's too late. We told you for the 3 months of the running.
You know, what's interesting is as African-American women, we show up even when it's not going to truly affect us. And I like to go back to the women's suffrage movement where you had women, powerful, badass women like Harriet Tubman showing up to support that movement, even though Black women did not get a right to vote for many decades later. But she still showed up, not only her, but a whole bunch of other Black women. So we're always supportive of everybody else. And we need to stand and be supportive of ourselves. Now, I know Kamala has some things that she did in California that wasn't very, wasn't a happy type of thing. However, she was the most qualified candidate. What this election showed me was that women don't matter. We don't matter. I don't care what color you are. We don't matter. We've got a felon, a sexist, a liar, a horrible business person, a cheater, a racist. He's only your friend if you Black and you paying him some money. Other than that, once he got your money, you just a to him, right? So it just shows that not only African American women, but women, we don't matter. When your own wife has issues with you restricting a woman's right to choose what to do with her body, if y'all ain't hear me now, that speaks volumes about this man. And we're in for a huge wake-up call. Okay, I want to get to the next question. So, elections can stir up a lot of uncertainty. How do you advise your friends, your family, fellow business owners, educators to stay resilient and adaptable in the face of change, particularly with the policies that are going to be implemented with that Project 2025 and or the economic shift? Because we got crazy people in there like Elon Musk trying to do some things. So Dr. Roz, why don't you go first with this question?
Yeah, so what I would tell people is that the main thing that we should focus on right now is that you can only control your behaviors. You can't control anyone else's behaviors. And when we get into that space of trying to control what other people do, it breeds anxiety, it breeds depression, because you cannot control what anyone else does. You can only control you. And so now is the time for us to really, honestly, for us to rest, for us to really think about our self-care. How are we taking care of ourselves? How are we making sure we're okay? If that means cut the TV off so you're not hearing the news cycle, or if you're scrolling on social media. And listen, I don't argue in real life, but I was having so many arguments about this election on social media. I was like, what is happening? This is not even who I am. And so if you have to remove yourself from those situations, then I encourage you to do that, because even though we're just seeing it and we don't think it's really affecting us, we are internalizing that. And it's going to disrupt your sleep. It's going to disrupt how you feel in the morning. It's going to disrupt your whole entire day. And so if you can remember just this key thing, that you cannot control anyone else's behavior, you can only control yours, you'll be okay. And I also, what I like to teach my clients is like the cab effect. And this is like, the C stands for cognition. So that's how we thought, that's how we think, that's how we take in information processing. A stands for affect, that's like our mood. And then B stands for behavior. And so if you can remember that your thoughts influence how you feel, and your thoughts and your feelings influence how you behave, then you can change things. And when you feel desperate, when you feel hopeless, when you feel helpless, you can change how you feel by just modifying your thoughts. It's going to modify your feelings, and it's definitely going to modify your behavior. And so if you can just remember the cab effect, and that you cannot control what anybody else does, you will be in a great place to survive these next 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love the cab effect. Okay, so I want to bring this next question. With every election, there's a lot of talk about unity. How do we, as leaders in our field, foster collaboration in our own communities when the nation feels so divided? Angela, why don't you start with that?
I think that you find the unity by finding your people. And to piggyback on what Dr. Roz says, I think it's really important to do those things and surround yourself with the people that bring you some peace and reassurance and protection, where you feel safe. Rely on your faith. If you have that, whatever that is for you, trust that, and keep a positive mindset. I think that's really critical. I think the other important thing is to just focus on those things that you believe are important, that bring us together, help us love on one another, and support each other in our businesses, support each other in the work that we're doing, talk to each other, really be intentional about seeking out people who are like-minded, the same spirit as you. And I think that's how we can get through it, whether it's at the workplace, at home, or just out and about, because there's going to be a lot of pressure and folks are going to need a lot of cover. I just don't know that right now, Black women, the role that we typically play, that we're going to be able to do that for everybody everywhere like a lot of us have done. We really need to be super intentional, as Dr. Roz has said, about focusing on our personal needs, because once we can fill our own cup, then we can help other people. But if we're running on empty, we can't do anything for each other. So self-care is paramount over these next 4 years.
I love it. I love it. And that's true. If you know how, there's a reason why they say, put the oxygen mask on first, and then you're able to help others. And I can totally, share that wisdom with everybody watching, that what you said, Angela, was take care of yourself first. Mm-hmm. Before you take care of others, because if you keep taking care of others, your cup will run empty, and then you'll be, a victim of mental health crisis or illness that'll come in, and you won't be that valuable person in the lives of those that you love and care about if you're not taking care of yourself first. So I love that. I love that message. Now, as women, we're breaking the glass ceiling left and right, and y'all know we're doing some things. For instance, this is the first African-American woman that we've had as a presidential election candidate. How can we continue to empower women and marginalized communities to use their voices, especially in times like this? Dr. Roz.
I love that question, because if you think about it, women always lead the way. We always lead the way. And so if that is something in you, even when I see it, because as a professor, sometimes I see these great qualities in my students. And so I'm always positioning them in places to where they can lead. And so if we see that in the younger generation, if we see that in people in our circle, like you said, Angela, if we see that in our tribe, then we have to encourage that behavior. Because the one thing that people can't take away from us is our voice. They cannot. And so I say, be an advocate for yourself. Say what you need to say, do what you need to do, because your voice needs to be heard. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Angela,
I agree. I think, again, we need to be intentional about reaching out. to young people. I know I did a series on my podcast focused on voters under 30. And it was interesting. They had very different perspectives. They all came from a slightly different angle, but the common thread among them all was there is a feeling of isolation and separateness that our young people are feeling. And so I think one of the things that we can do is reach out to them, encourage them, provide opportunities for them. The voice is very important. Give them safe spaces to talk about how they're feeling and meet the need that is there. It's harder to be a young adult now than it was. I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I'm probably a little bit older than the two of you, but it's harder to be an adult, to get into adulting now than it was when I was their age, when I was under 30. It's a lot harder. And so there are some things in our society that we need to look at, how we communicate with one another. Are we really reaching back? Each one teach one, each one reach one. We really need to be very cognizant that we're doing that and provide that level of camaraderie and advice when it's requested, and leadership and example to our young people so that they feel safe and that they know there is a place for them to go and grow. We can be that for them.
Oh, I love that. I love that. It is totally a different age. And I know Dr. Roz is the baby among us, but it is totally a different age of when I grew up. And probably, I know, Angela, when you grew up too, we didn't have social media. We were still in the age where the phone was on the wall.
That's right.
You had to get that extra long extension cord from Pacific Bell or whoever, particularly on the West Coast, so you could walk around and talk on the phone. And if you had a phone in your room, you was big balling.
Okay, for real, girl.
So it's totally different. We didn't have access 24/7 to social media and things that could spew hatred and lies and dissension and all that kind of stuff like these young people do today. And so
Exactly.
very, very good words of wisdom from both of you. Now, I want to jump into, let's get personal. How are you adapting your mindset or approach to your work based on these election results? And I know we're all in different types of industries, but, Angela, how are you adapting based on these election results? Are you going to do anything to pivot, to change, or do you got a game? Did you have a game plan prior to, just in case Kamala didn't win? What are you doing?
I'm going to do the same thing that I was going to do before the election. I'm just going to feel a little bit differently about it. I've been really feeling a greater need to form community, to build community more than I have been, although I've done some of that work. But I really feel that there is a need for it now, much more so than before. So that's what I mean. I'm going to continue to do what I've been doing, but I think my intentionality and my focus will be a little bit stronger. And the reason I say that is I'm one of those people who, for better or for worse, really thought that our country was a lot further along than it seems to be. The data is the data. Sorry, y'all, 50 some odd percent, 59%, 38%, whatever it is. Those numbers speak, and they sent a message. And I will tell anybody listening to the sound of my voice, message received. Message received. Okay. So I just want to be the person who's being a little bit more attentive and a little bit more understanding of some of the angst that Black people, and particularly Black women and young people, are feeling right now. So I was already going to do things in 25 focused on that, but it'll be with much greater intensity and understanding that the need is really there.
I love it. Okay, Dr. Ross, I got this one for you now, because you are an educator. What role do you see your field playing in helping people process and navigate the outcome of this election that we just went through?
You know what? I'm glad you asked that question because a lot of my students are minorities and a lot of my students are international students. And a lot of them are terrified right now that they're not going to get financial aid because he's trying to shut down the Department of Education. And so we really, really, really I really let my students I went in thinking I was going to give a lecture and I could just tell, like, my students were just in a space that the fear and the anxiety, like, am I going to be deported? Is my family going to be deported? Like, what's going to happen? And so I am just creating safe spaces for my students to talk and for us to come up with strategies. And so, like, just today with my students, because the fear of not getting financial aid is real for a lot of them. I am a first generation college student, so I get it, and so many of my students are. And so today we did this exercise where they had to team up and they had to find scholarships and they had to dig for scholarships. They had to look for different scholarships. So it's like, you need to look at every council person in this area because they have money to give away. All the senators, they have money to give. And so we need to get you internships. We got to do things. We can't sit back now, right? And so empowering my students to be in a space of where they don't feel helpless and they don't feel hopeless, because it's easy. It's really easy to be like, oh, well, like you, Angela, I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing, right? I'm committed to service. And so it is what it is. It's my life. It's what I do. And so where I see a need, I'm going to step in and to make sure that things are being taken care of. And so for my students, it is really just empowering them, because you don't know what you don't know. When you think about it, when you were in college, freshman, you didn't know the world because your parents are still taking care of you at that point. And so my students didn't even they had no idea that they could get money from their senators at home. Like, they had no idea. And I was like, yes, they all have a pot of money where they give out scholarships. And I was like, you need to check out every sorority, every fraternity. We all give out scholarships. There are millions of dollars that go unused every single year, because people don't know that they're out there. As much as we advertise them, people don't know that they're there. And you don't have to be a member of the organization to get the money. You don't. And so just providing resources to my students and to my clients as well, just providing resources to reduce that little angst of, I don't know what to do, and giving them a plan. Because if you have a plan, then you feel more powerful.
Yeah, for sure. And even if you need to adjust that plan, it may not be the exact plan that you need to take for it, but you have something that you can adjust, rework, revise to fit the current situation. So we got time for one more question. And this one is, lastly, I want to end this on a high note. What's one reason you're optimistic about the future, regardless of who's in the Oval Office? And if you guys could limit your comment to 30 seconds, that would be lovely. Let's go ahead and start with you, Dr. Roz.
Well, you know what? I think I'm going to put my trust in God. I mean, America has a history of violence. And so I don't know how much worse Donald Trump can be, but I do know that God is much better than him and much bigger than him. And so that's where I'm going to put my trust. And that's where my calmness and my peace relies in God. And so I'm just waiting to see what God is going to do with us right now.
All right, Miss Angela, what are your thoughts about that question?
I'm optimistic because we have been through it. Our people have been through it. We all come from a long line of strong, independent people who have come through some stuff. And the three of us are here looking good, smiling. We still find the joy. And I think that we're going to pull through with this. It's going to take a little work, but we can do it. We always have. We always will.
So it's just moving forward. Even if we have to do, I don't know, Angela, you might know this game. Maybe you too, Dr. Roz. Mother May I.
Mother May I.
A giant step, a baby step. If we have to take baby steps and inch our way forward, like the little slug, we're gonna do it. And it's just a matter of having voices like you ladies that share words of wisdom that everyone can utilize into their lives to make their lives a lot better. It's going to be a challenge, no doubt. No doubt. We know it's going to be a challenge, but we've been through many great challenges and we've always overcome. And so as strong women, we will persevere and hopefully we'll be talking about this as a thing of the past. We won't have that dictator he won't become a dictator like he's planning on becoming, and we'll be able to move forward in a much positive way. All right. That's a wrap today, you guys, on the Bold Unstoppable panel show. And you know what? I don't know about all of you, but this conversation was fiery. It was fabulous. As queens standing on our thrones, we brought it to you guys. Now it's just time for you to take the information that the ladies shared and implement some of the things that they said in words of wisdom that they shared with you, such as the cab and keep moving forward and just things of that nature, because the more we can do this and the more that we can share this show and shows like this with other strong, powerful queens, the better it is that we can come together to make the world a much, much better place. It's going to take, as I say, a village, and we women need to come together and stand together in our greatness and not be so catty, but support each other no matter where we are, support each other so that we can move forward to make the world a better place. Now, our panel of unstoppable women brought their A game today, reminding us all that no matter who's in the White House, we have the power to run our empires, lift our communities, and stay for every challenge that comes our way. Now, I want all of you to go out there and on your own greatness, because being bold, unstoppable isn't just a mood, it's a movement. And don't be apologetic for being that bold, unstoppable queen that you are. Until next time, keep shining, keep hustling, and as always, keep feeling fabulous. This is Dr. Rochel Marie Lawson signing off, and mwah, to my panelists and mwah, to all of you watching. And please share this show. The more we can get this information out, the better it is for all of us, no matter what color you are. All right. Bye for now, y'all.